Hey guys, this is Elizabeth from Juniper Physical Therapy. I'm here today to give you a 10-minute routine designed specifically for your back. Now, as a physical therapist, I see people with back pain all the time. This video is intended to be preventative so that you can maintain really good health of your back, keep it mobile, keep it strong without hurting yourself. Now, I know that we all like to get a lot of stuff done, whether that's at home or at work, and often we push through pain. So this video is intended to make all those things a little bit easier for you. Now, it contains 3 different parts. The first part is mobility work, where we use a variety of different balls to loosen up tight tissue related to the spine. Secondly, we move on to stretching. We're going to be stretching the large leg muscles that attach to your pelvis and then eventually affect your back. And we're also going to be then ending with stability work or strength work for our core. Now, please remember, if you have sharp shooting, intense pain, numbness and tingling, or anything shooting down your leg, please don't move forward with this video. Instead, reach out to your local physical therapist. We can certainly guide you and treat you and take care of the pain that you're experiencing, or at least get you in the right spot. Now, if you have any questions, you can find all of my contact information at juniperpt.com. Thank you so much. Enjoy. To roll out the muscles in our lower back, we're going to use 2 different types of tools. The first one are 2 of the same type of balls here. They are about a moderate density, a little bit soft, and you can get a variety of densities of these. Choose what feels best for you. And then the second thing we have here is a double ball from the company called Rad Roller. They have a variety of densities and sizes of these guys. They're really great. Now keep in mind, you want this to feel comfortably uncomfortable, okay? So I want you to notice those muscles feeling tender and sore, but I don't want it so painful that you're cringing, because then you're telling your brain that you're hurting yourself, and it's really hard to get muscles to relax when that message is going to your brain, okay? So let's get started with these 2 kind of moderate density balls. I'm going to have you put them on, we're going to try to get these muscles right along our spine on either side of the spine. So we'll put these underneath there. And generally, it feels best when your knees are bent. So you just got to find a spot and kind of roll your pelvis back and forth. And you might have to move them a little bit. And remember, we want to find a spot that's tender, a little bit sore, but doesn't make you cringe. All you have to do is just rest here. When you find those tender spots, you can simply rest. You can choose to roll side to side. What I'd like to do is bring one knee in, stabilize with my hand here, bring the other knee in, and then hug them both here. Generally in this position, I kind of rock back and forth, or I wiggle a little bit. And you want to spend about 2 minutes doing this. When you get out of this position, if you've chosen to be with both knees into your chest, make sure you do one at a time. You can use your hand again to stabilize, just so you don't hurt your back getting in and out of the position. I usually bridge up. All right, now this double ball is to do exactly the same thing. It's a little bit different density, and it gets a little bit closer to the spine. So simply just play around with whatever you have. And again, I usually come here. And the muscles along our spine are very long and lean. You can go at any point along your spine with these balls here. I'm focusing today just on my lower back. The other thing that's really fun with this double roller is you could put it up against the wall and have your back against it, and then simply slide up and down the wall, and it'll go all along the length of those muscles. It feels really good. Now we're going to work on releasing the muscles in our hip and in our gluteal region, because those muscles are attached from our hip joint to our sacroiliac joint in a couple different places in our pelvis. When those muscles are tight and stiff, it kind of locks down our hips, not allowing them to be free and mobile like they're intended to be. And when that happens, our lower back has to make up the slack and move more than it's intended to move. So that's when pain and kind of tissue breakdown starts to occur. So I'm going to use a medium or a little bit bigger size ball today, this is what I like to start with. It's a little softer, a little more forgiving. You can also try a tennis ball, those black balls that I used in the earlier video, and Rag Roller has a bunch of different ones too. So the possibilities are endless with the different types of balls, but certainly play around with them and find the one that works best for you. So I'm going to place this ball on the floor and I'm simply going to sit on it, kind of moving my body off to the side, focusing on one side of my butt at a time. When my knees are bent, I feel most comfortable. Some people have to move in different positions, whatever feels good for you. And you just roll and search for a tight spot. Now don't forget to sort of lean over to the side here. There's usually some tight spots right above your hip joint. When you find a good one, just simply rest there. And make sure that you're not cringing, that the ball is the right density so you can handle this. It should be uncomfortably comfortable. And your choice, you can sit and rest on it or you can do a little bit of rolling. Good. Now make sure you spend about a minute to a minute and a half on each side and get both of them. Some people like to put the ball on the wall and kind of lean into it and roll that way. Your choice. People choose that because sometimes sitting on the ball is a little too intense, but again, it really depends on the density of the ball, how flexible you are, so choose whatever method feels best for you. We're going to stretch the muscles in the front of our hip here, known as the hip flexors. They're very powerful muscles. They attach in the groin area to the lower back, kind of coming through our body and to the front side of the lower lumbar vertebrae. Very important to stretch in order to have good health and control of your core. So what I'd like you to do is when you're in this position, you can choose to put a pillow or a cushion under your knee here if it's a little tender. Please do so. Don't suffer through knee pain there. What I want you to do is pay really close attention to your pelvis here. Oftentimes when we get in this position, our lower back starts to arch or we kind of lean forward a little bit. I prefer that you take your pelvis and tuck it so that the back side is going down, front is coming up. Good. Holding that position, you can tighten this butt cheek on your left side here and sort of press your pelvis forward. You're going to feel a stretch more than likely in the front of your hip here and maybe down your thigh into the quadricep muscle. So you simply just hold it here. Recommendations are for 30 seconds for each stretch, done twice on each side. Now, there's often modifications for any exercise, and for this one in particular, we can play around with the angle of our back leg to get different aspects of the hip muscles here. So if you take the leg and move it in, so your foot goes in, same thing, you set your pelvis, tighten butt, and press. You may feel this more, maybe not. You choose what gives you a really good stretch through here. The other way, of course, is to angle it outward, tucking pelvis, and leaning. Now that takes a little bit more balance and control, but you might find that you're tighter over here or over here, and just play around with the angles, you get the best stretch. The other modification that I like to use is to take my arm that's on the same side of the leg that's back, bring it up and really lengthen through the side of my waist here, reaching up towards the ceiling, keeping my pelvis tucked, side bending over just a little bit. Making sure that whenever you stretch, you take good, consistent, slow breaths and try not to create extra tension in your body. Now make sure you do both sides. All right, thanks. Now we're going to stretch the muscles on the sides of our hip here. We're going to get the piriformis muscle, which is a super popular muscle. The sciatic nerve runs through there, or in some people's bodies, just near there, and can get really tight in a lot of people. But other than the piriformis, there's also a bunch of gluteal muscles that are really important to stretch too. So I'm going to show you a stretch with a couple of different variations, and I want you to choose the one that gives you the best stretch, okay? So we're going to start on our back. And I'm simply going to take my left ankle and put it over my right knee. Now what I'm working on stretching in this position is the left side. I'm going to grab my knee here and simply towards my right shoulder. You should feel a stretch through here. Some of you will, and some of you won't. On my body, I don't feel much with this stretch. I need to add and take the next level. So I let this leg kind of stay where it is, but I'm going to grab my right leg and pull this into my chest. Now I feel it in the muscles right through here. Whenever you're doing these stretches, I commonly see people tensing up their shoulders or tensing up their neck. Just be aware of what you're doing. Try to relax that and simply use your arm muscles to pull your legs towards you. You can just stay here, but another variation to get a little bit different spot in the hip muscles here is to cross your leg completely over. I usually put my arms off to the side and rotate to the opposite side. This should get higher up into the gluteal area and maybe into your lower back. Whichever version you choose is completely fine. But pick the one that gives you the most stretch and feels the best for you. Again, 30 seconds, 2 times on each side. We are going to now work on our core. And our core is not just our tummy. Our core is our pelvic floor, our diaphragm, the front of our body, and the back of our body to create, think of it like a canister. We got a bottom, we got a top, and we got all the sides. So this first exercise that we're going to do here is going to be working on breathing and coordinating so that we can engage all of those muscles at the same time. It looks like we're not doing much when we're laying here, but you're going to feel a whole lot going on. And this is a very important exercise to get down before you move on to more complex abdominal work, okay? So the position that we're going to assume is on our back with our knees bent. And the easiest place to really feel the muscles in your body, or the core, basically the deep abdominal muscles, is if you find these bones here. People think of them as your hip bones, but actually they're your iliac crests. Find those bones there, and then drop your fingertips right in between there. And what I'd like you to do is take a nice deep inhale, and as you're inhaling, all of those muscles that we just talked about are supposed to be more relaxed, okay? So you inhale, and then on your exhale, you're going to do a couple of different things. I want you to think about drawing in your pelvic floor. A friend of mine who's a pelvic floor specialist talks about closing all of your openings. That works for me. That works for you. Give it a try. So you're going to inhale, and then on your exhale, you're going to pull up your pelvic floor, closing all of your openings. And underneath your fingers, you might feel your transverse abdominis, or one of your deeper abdominal muscles, engaging. And then relax on your inhale. And then on your exhale, draw up that pelvic floor. Now really try to think about pulling in your waist, your belly button towards your spine, so that you feel activity underneath your fingers here. Very good. Keep repeating that, and now we're going to add the diaphragm to the mix. Your diaphragm lives right underneath your rib cage here, and it's actually shaped like an umbrella. It goes all the way around inside your ribs. So when you are exhaling, you're going to be drawing up your pelvic floor. You're going to be pulling in the sides of your canister, pulling your belly button in towards your spine, and you're also going to be kind of holding your rib cage down, engaging your diaphragm. All right, let's give it a try. Fingertips along the lower part of your belly here. Let's inhale and exhale. Inhale, release. Exhale, engage. And again. Go for about 10 repetitions of this. There's nothing magical about 10. If you can only do 5 or whatever number works for you, that's completely fine. And what I've also discovered when teaching people this, it's super complicated and it takes a while to understand, but also very, very important. So at first, when you're working on this core canister, you're going to be thinking about probably dividing your pelvic floor separate from the sides of your waist, separate from your diaphragm, and that's okay. Work on all of them. Eventually, eventually you're going to be able to coordinate all of them together. Pelvic floor, sides of your waist, as well as your diaphragm. We're going to continue to work on our core and add on to what we've already learned about engaging all of the muscles within this canister that we have here. So the first one that we're going to do is called dead bug. Lovely name, right? You're going to lay on your back, and you're going to start with both of your knees up and your arms up in the air. And what I'd like you to do is inhale. On your exhale, I just want to see if you can engage those muscles that we had just worked on to get your core all set. See if you can engage those and continue breathing at a normal rate, okay? And then this might be where you stay, because sometimes it's tricky just to hold this position. Now, dead bug has a ton of modifications. I'm just going to take you to the next level. What we're going to do here is we're going to lower our right leg so that our toe comes towards the ground, and then your left arm is going to come back, okay? And then you come back up, and you switch. Now, the main point of this exercise is to keep the center of your body stable. I want you to try to pay attention to making sure we don't create a big arch underneath your lower back, that you keep this tipped. It does not have to be smashed into the floor. It just has to be stable, active, and controlled. So again, arms up, knees bent, right leg goes down, left arm comes back. If this feels pretty good to you and you feel like you have good control, you can lengthen your leg. So if we bring that right leg straight and our left arm back, you can do it this way. Now, we never sacrifice form. So if you're starting to feel like that is too far to move your leg and you can't control your back, then just simply stay here and do the taps, or just hold this position. Very good. The final exercise in your 10-minute routine here is called Superman, but also known as locust pose for the yogis out there. It is going to focus on the posterior chain, or the back side of our body. So we're going to start on our stomach. There's a couple of things to be thinking about when you're laying here, okay? So the first thing I want you guys to do is I want you to try to pull in your lower tummy so that you have a little bit flatter lower back. And to pull it in, it's helpful to kind of squeeze your butt too, okay? That provides stability at the middle of your body. And then what I want you to do is you're going to be looking down, your arms are going to come up, you're going to set your core, and you're going to lift. Okay, you ready? Let's give it a try. And what I recommend when you're doing this is that you take a nice deep inhale first. On your exhale, you pull in that tummy and you lift at the same time. So you're completely exhaling while you're engaging all of those muscles, and you're inhaling as you release them all. Go for 10 reps. You can do 5 to 10 more if you like, but that should be it. I hope you loved your 10-minute back here routine. Try to do this every single day if you can, or at least a few times a week. I hope you notice a big difference in how your back and hips feel when you're getting all your stuff done around the house or at work. Now, if you have any questions or concerns or simply would like to make a comment, head to Facebook. My username is JuniperPT. My website is juniperpt.com, and feel free to email me, Elizabeth@juniperpt.com, if you have any specific questions or concerns. I'd love to help. Bye.